Hi, I'm Joe. Welcome back. This is the Ultimate Love Letter. Thank you for joining the conversation. I want to talk about the crazy things people say. And what I mean is, have you ever gotten like a chain prayer? Or someone forwards you something, on Facebook, and it's like, share this with, 50 other people. And when you read the prayer, it's talking about, God, please allow me to follow your will. Well, I got a group message like this, and just yesterday, and I kind of, honestly, I'm tired of it because when I think about the individuals that are sending me these messages, it's like I want to scream and say, God definitely wants you to follow his lead. God definitely wants you to follow him. God is giving you every single opportunity to follow him and to live according to his will, which is always glorious. But you make it a point to not. So I almost want to say, stop sending me the damn messages, because what are you doing? Like, God is asking you to follow his lead. And I want to get into what does that look like when God is asking you to follow his lead? Like, I mean, when I think about the prayer, God, please allow me to follow your lead, it's going to take action on our part to follow his lead, right? And when God says, for instance, let that relationship go, or move that house, or take that trip, or quit that job, or support that charity, that is absolutely God guiding you to follow his will. So when do we step in and actually follow his will? Like, for any of my friends or family that are listening to this message, don't forward me any of those chain prayers filled with words that you are not doing or even making an attempt to do. Now, I know that, yes, the prayer is to please give me the strength to follow your will, God. Yes, please give me the strength to step all in. And it is a mantra. It is an intention. It is very much a prayer. But when do we actually take the steps? When do we actually do the work? That is the question, because God is always presenting you and me with an opportunity to step fully into his will, which is, quite honestly, where all our dreams come true. Like, that's where it is, in God's will. The problem is we believe that we know better than that nudge within, our intuition that's continually to speak to us, to guide us. We think on the surface that we know better. We have a roadmap to get us to where we want to go, and I'm going to discount that voice that's telling me to go left when I want to go right. We're discounting that voice that says, don't apply for that job, take this job, or don't apply for any job. Just sit where you are as I work on you. Oh no, we're not willing to do that work. That work is too scary. That work doesn't pay the bills. That work seems idle. But what is the little whisper within you telling you? That little whisper is God. That little whisper is your intuition. That little whisper knows everything. that little whisper is on your side. Let me say that again. That little whisper is on your side. I know it may look perilous where they're guiding, but if you knew that nudge that you are getting deep within is leading you to a miraculous place, what the heck do you care how it looks? Go to the miraculous place. Sit still. Like, God knows everything you need. He knows what you need. He knows you have bills to pay. He knows your desires. How does he know? Because he put those desires in your heart. He's trying to give them to you. So when do we, instead of forwarding the chain prayer messages of, oh God, please let me follow your will, when do we actually get the balls enough to follow his will, to follow his leading? When you get the balls enough to follow his leading, then yes, send me those messages. Until then, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Do some work for God's sake, for your sake. Do some work. You know, when you are just being, and you are just being led by that source within, you are now in the flow. And the flow knows everywhere you need to go. That's why it's the flow. You're just floating. You're not fighting against the current. The fight against the current is when you get in the water and you want to swim rather upstream because you think that's the way you ought to go. The flow is going effortlessly where it needs to go. And as you're in the flow, it is bringing you everything you need. I too, I have heard some gnarly things. I know. I get intuitions and it's like, God, did I hear that correctly? Like I said before, you know, as the business that I created during 2020, as that began to change and I started losing clients, I was like, God, do I need to go out and hustle this back? And I heard God say, no, you sit still. And that was a gnarly move because I was like, okay, sit still, do nothing. But as I did nothing, as I was brave enough to actually do nothing, I did not skip a beat. Everything was taken care of at home. The money continued to come in. The money I had from the clients that I was working with was more than enough. Trips were still taken. Tithes were still paid. Everything came to me and better because I had less clients meant I had more time to work on this, which is the platform that we're creating now. This was actually before I even created the platform, but it created a space for me to hear my next steps as God was allowing a misaligned business to kind of dwindle away. God knew he was going to be building up another business, one that was totally aligned with me, one that was impactful work. The message that I've been hearing God say in my head since 2020, since the beginning of 2020, actually the end of 2019 was, you are destined for impactful work. And he was leading me to like quit my 9-to-5. And I won't get into that part, but that is what God does when you are just yielding to the voice within. All I do now is it's like GPS. I only want to hear that voice. When I think about it, the scariest thing to me in this life is being unable to hear that voice. That is terrifying. There is nothing more terrifying than being unable to hear God speak. As long as I can hear God speak, I'm good, because I know He's got me completely, comfortably saturated in His love and His protection and in His hands. He knows what I need. And just like He takes care of the birds in the sky, He takes care of you and I perfectly. You know, I've been away this summer, you know this, and as I'm gearing up to head back to the States soon, I'm like, but soon, I feel like, okay, you know what? I need to check in with my clients to the States, and VPN, I can't check in with the organization that I'm partnered with and read their emails because I'm out of the country. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I got to figure out the VPN so I can change it, so I can start reading the emails, so I can start getting updated. But really, within me, it's like God is saying, no, not today. Nope, not yet. Nope, what are you doing? Nope, continue writing. Nope, lounge by the pool. Nope, read that book. Nope, record that episode. Nope, go get your nails done. Nope, go have lunch. No, relax, go take a nap. That's the voice. Those are examples of what I'm hearing when I'm thinking about, I need to log in now and prepare myself for my trip back to the States and get updated on what's happening within the organization I'm working with. But God has been telling me, no, be right here and be right now. And so now look at God. So I was laying in bed last night, and I usually keep my phone on Do Not Disturb. It's always on Do Not Disturb. Maybe a few hours a day I take it off, but 90% of the time it's on Do Not Disturb, because I just live by the thought of, when it's time for me to reach you, or when it's time for someone to reach me, I'll look at my phone and the message will be there, or I'll read the message on my time, no longer on anybody else's time. I'm very much deeply rooted in the present, and everything else is secondary, right? So as I'm laying there in bed, and to my surprise, my phone was not on Do Not Disturb. And so my phone rang. And when it rang, it was a beautiful organization that I work with back in the States. And I quickly answered it, right? Because I want to know what's going on, like what's the update. And when I answered it, just a beautiful voice came on the other side and said, "Welcome back, Joe." And I told them, well, I'm not back, but I will be back soon. And so we were able to catch up quickly in just a few minutes. And then I disconnected the call, and there you go. I don't need to figure out a VPN. I don't need to spend my beautiful days, my last days here in Bali, wondering about what I need to do when I get back to the States. God knew. That voice knew. I already have that worked out. I'm going to have somebody reach you. You're not going to need to reach them. And with the span of just a couple of minutes, you're going to have all the update at the right time, when you have all the time. So that is just a teeny tiny little example of how God works when you are just listening to the voice within. I will not understand. I will never understand again, as long as I live, why we are not listening to that voice. We are in pain when we ignore it, and when we decide we know best. That will never be me personally, ever again. Life has become far more effortless. Life has become far more joyous. I have gone further with the least energy, listening to that little whisper within. So I want to ask you, those that send those beautiful, glorious chain messages, oh God, please give me the strength to follow your will. You have the strength. And you know his will because he's speaking it to you every day. Do you have the courage to actually follow it? That should be your prayer. Step out in courage. Listen to the voice and become more than, far greater than what you could have ever imagined. That's my encouraging message today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to those who have left reviews. We need reviews to put our podcast in the presence of those that need it. Please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Also, check us out on YouTube. Thank you again for the new subscribers that we got on YouTube. We are growing there beautifully. So thank you so much for being here. Go listen to that voice. Listen to it every day. I don't care how scary it sounds. I don't care how wrong you think that voice has got it. Is completely accurate, and it will be completely blissful if you get the courage up enough to follow it. Until next time, love yourself and love others. We'll chat again soon. Bye for now.